Hello and welcome to Chisme del Cielo, where we talk about the only gossip we're sharing, the good news. I'm your host, Yahaira Valenzuela, and today I'm really glad you're here, first of all. I think today's episode is one that feels honestly unavoidable, for lack of a better word. It's something that we're all living in, whether we like it or not, especially right now. We're kind of talking about what it means to be a Catholic in a deeply polarized world. And I don't just mean like people disagree sometimes polarized. I mean, friendships are literally ending over opinions. Families are avoiding certain topics at holidays. People are assuming your entire identity based on one belief. And if you're a young adult trying to live your faith seriously, then it can feel like you're constantly being pulled in two opposite directions. So today we're going to get into why everything feels so divided right now, the pressure to quote unquote like pick a side, what the church actually calls us to, and it's definitely not what social media says, but also how to stay grounded in truth without becoming angry, self-righteous, or numb. And I just want to clarify, this is not going to be a political rant, but it's also not going to be like vague, feel good advice, right? I'm going to try to be honest and, of course, faithful. So yeah, let's get into it. So let's start with the obvious question. Why does everything feel so extreme right now? Like, why does every issue feel like if you don't fully agree with me, then you're the enemy? I think when I was thinking about this, a few things came to mind that I feel like are happening all at once, right? Number one being that identity is tied to opinions now. It's no longer the argument of like, I think this policy is better. It's more so this belief defines who I am. And if you reject it, then you reject me. So yeah. And the horrible thing about that is that as Christians, our identity should be rooted in being, children of God and followers of Christ. And so our identity being tied to opinions is like a big red flag for several reasons. And that's just like, I feel like that's a whole other episode, but yeah. Number two, social media rewards outrage, right? I think that oftentimes calm and thoughtful takes don't necessarily go viral. What does is usually anger, right? Anger does, certainty does, mockery does. And so what we're constantly exposed to is the loudest and most extreme version of every position. There's no in between. There's no let me think about it and then respond. Everything is just like immediate thoughts, right? It's like immediate, like we're not thinking before our actions, right? And social media loves that. It loves that. Those types of videos and those types of opinions are what always gets rewarded. It's what goes viral. It's what everyone is spreading. It's what everyone is talking about. And I mean, that is bad also on several levels. Like that can go wrong so fast. Number three is that disagreeing kind of feels unsafe, right? If you say, I agree with this part, but not that part, people don't know what to do with you. You kind of become someone who's like harder to categorize in a way, if that makes sense. And that obviously makes others uncomfortable. I've talked so much about human nature and us wanting to control everything and understand everything. So when you're kind of like in between or not having one of those like extreme opinions or extreme positions on things, then yeah, people get uncomfortable and we don't like to be uncomfortable. And I think that here's where it starts to get hard as a Catholic, because our faith doesn't fit neatly into any one modern side, if that makes sense. Like, we're not 100% like, I don't even know how to say this without like, I don't want to get canceled, but like, we're not 100% liberal, we're not 100% Republican, right? There's kind of some opinions that lean in some ways or more towards one side than the other, but we're not necessarily that. And I do want to take a moment, especially because of everything happening right now with Pope Leo and the president. I think it's just so important to make this distinction and understand that if we are Catholic, then we are Catholic first. If we are followers of Christ, then we are followers of Christ first. Our identity should be rooted in who we are in relation to God and not necessarily who we are in relation to society and where we live, etc., right? So we are Catholic first, American second, right? That is where our identity should lie. We are Catholic first. And so it's kind of difficult, again, that our faith doesn't necessarily fit neatly into any one of these sides, especially when it comes to political issues. Because then we have, issues like what is going on with the Pope and the president right now, which is so insane. But, I'm not trying to get political, so we're just gonna keep going. But if you've kind of felt this way in any way, shape, or form, you're not crazy, because there's definitely this constant pressure to fully align with one group, right? And I think both sides, whatever sides you're thinking of, because again, I'm not trying to get political, but I think both sides kind of tend to say that if you're really a good person, then you'll agree with us completely, right? I think everyone thinks they're right. Everyone thinks that their opinion is the right opinion. And so, of course, I'm going to think, well, what I think is right, so you have to think what I think to be right or to be good, right? But the Catholic worldview doesn't work like that. And so you might find yourself agreeing with one group on the dignity of human life and maybe agreeing with another on care for the poor, or even feeling uncomfortable with both when they go too far, right? And when these questions or these feelings or these thoughts arise, suddenly you're just thinking wait a minute, where the heck do I belong, right? And I think if you feel politically or culturally even homeless sometimes, then that might actually be a sign that you are thinking with the church more than you realize, right? Because the church isn't built to mirror culture. It's built to challenge all of it. So this, again, not to go back to it, but it's what's happening right now, right? It's so real. This whole thing with the Pope and the president, it shouldn't even be a thing. Pope Leo, the GOAT, is literally so unbothered, and as he should be, rightfully so, because this shouldn't even be an issue, right? The church isn't built to mirror culture. It's built to challenge all of it. So I don't even know, but let's be so honest about this. This is exhausting, right? I think it's just so much easier to just pick a side, to adopt the language, to agree with everything, to feel like you belong somewhere. But this is just because the cost of not doing these things is misunderstanding, it's criticism, sometimes it's even isolation, right? And that's where we have to ask a deeper question. What are we actually called to? Because if we're not just supposed to pick a side, then what are we supposed to do? And the church gives us two things that are really hard to hold together. We've got truth and charity. Not one or the other, not truth or charity, right? But both. Always. So let's talk about those for a second, right? Truth means that we don't change what we believe to fit the moment. It means that we don't stay silent just because something is unpopular. It means that we don't pretend something is okay if it's not. And yeah, that will put you at odds with people sometimes. I mean, Jesus himself was rejected because of truth. And a good reminder and good motivation, if that's what you want to call it, is that if that happened to Jesus, then why not you? But here's what a lot of people, especially online, get wrong. Right? Here's where they get it all wrong, right? Truth without charity becomes harsh, it becomes cold and self-righteous. So to understand this, I guess we can get into charity a little bit. Charity means seeing the person and not just the opinion. And I'll repeat that one more time because I think I kind of started off with this whole like our identities are becoming rooted in our opinions. But you guys, charity means seeing the person, not just the opinion. Charity means listening before correcting. Charity means not assuming the worst about someone's intentions. And so the tension is this, right? You are called to love people, even those that you deeply disagree with, and not called to love in a fake or polite way, but truly in a real way, which means that you're not reducing them to a label, that you're not dehumanizing them, and that you don't secretly enjoy proving them wrong, because that's just you being fake to their faces, right? And you're still gonna go talk Schmidt to their backs like that's not the kind of love that we're called to have towards people. And if we're honest, that is where it gets the hardest, because it's way easier to love people who already agree with you. Because in a perfect world, we all have the same opinion. There's no beef, right? But it's not a perfect world. We don't all have the same opinions. We don't all agree on things. And so, it is very hard to love people sometimes. In a way that's not fake, that's not polite, but what are you going to do? So let's talk about some traps, because I think almost everyone falls into at least one of these. Trap number 1, winning arguments, right? You start caring more about being right than loving the person. This is doing things like screenshotting arguments or trying to think of the perfect comeback. And in order to do that, you're sending your messages to friends, and then you're now gossiping, right? Or even replaying conversations in your head. But at the end, no one is closer to truth, right? Trying to win these arguments doesn't bring you closer to the truth. It doesn't bring anyone closer to the truth. All it does is make your heart harden. Trap number 2, echo chambers. This is like something I was like reading up on, but you only listen to people who already agree with you, right? And it feels good. It feels validating, but slowly when this happens, your understanding gets narrower, your patience for disagreement shrinks, and anyone outside of your circle starts to feel crazy, which is like not okay. Trap 3 is, self-righteousness, and this one's like more subtle, I think. You kind of start thinking, oh, I see clearly and other people are blind, and maybe you are right about something, but that pride is gonna creep in fast. And then on the flip side, right, we've got avoidance. So some people just check out completely and they'll say, I don't want to deal with this, or I'm just going to stay quiet about everything. And while that can feel peaceful to some extent, sometimes it's actually just fear. So another trap, avoidance, right? It's also not good. And so if those are the traps, what does a better way look like, right? How do we navigate disagreement without losing our soul? So let's get practical. I wanted to also kind of discuss some ways that we can like stay grounded, I guess. Number 1 being know what you believe and why. This is a really big one for me. I say this to people all the time. Like, I don't really like, if I guess an example is like with people who do say that they're Catholic, but they're not really practicing, right? I'm like, okay, well, why do you still say you're Catholic then? And I don't even mean it in a sense of like, then just don't be Catholic, but genuinely like, I don't want you to agree just to agree, right? Like, you should always know what you believe. And if your beliefs are shallow, then they're just going to crumble under pressure, right? So especially when it comes to things like religion, we should always spend time learning and reading and actually understanding what it is that the teaching is, right? What church teaching is, and not just repeating phrases. Because again, if your beliefs are shallow, if you don't actually know anything, then under pressure, they'll crumble. Number 2, slow down your reactions. This was like a big thing, especially that I was thinking about, especially when it came to like the whole social media thing that I mentioned earlier, slowing down your reactions. Like, not every comment needs a response. I like to say you should always like pick your battles, because you also don't want to put yourself in a position to just like try to win the argument, right? So ask yourself, like, am I trying to help or am I just trying to prove something? Is this the right time and place? Because silence isn't always weakness. Sometimes it's actually wisdom. So it's definitely okay and encouraged to slow down your reactions. Number 3 is stay human. When you disagree with someone, use their name, ask questions, and stay calm. I know it sounds simple, but it does change everything. Because again, like, we should always respect and love people because they're human, right? Not necessarily because of their opinions or what they're thinking or what they're saying, but because they are human in general. So you want to stay human when it comes to like these traps and things. Number 4, accept that you won't fix everything. The biggest thing is that you are not responsible for changing everyone's mind. Your job is simply to be a witness of truth, to love well, and to stay faithful. And that's literally it. It is not your job to fix anyone, right? Yes, we can plant seeds. Yes, we should be evangelizing and spreading the gospel and doing what we can and standing firm on our own beliefs. But that's it. You leave the seed and you go. Like, God and the Holy Spirit do the rest, right? Like, it's not all up to you. And number 5, of course, is root yourself in prayer. If your engagement with the world is louder than your relationship with God, you will burn out or you'll become angry or both. And I promise you, like, speaking from experience, this does happen. So make sure that you are continuing to stay rooted in prayer above all. You can't carry the weight of the world without staying connected to the one who already redeemed it. So root yourself in prayer. If there's one thing to take away from this episode, it's this, right? You're not called to be a perfect debater. You are definitely not called to win culture wars. You are called to be a saint. And being a saint means loving people when it's inconvenient. It means standing in truth when it's uncomfortable. And it means refusing to let the chaos around you shape your soul. The world is loud, it's reactive, it's divided, but you don't have to be. So that's all for today. I hope you got something out of this, or if nothing else, that you realize that you're not alone in feeling some of the things that you're feeling or having some of the thoughts that you're having. But yeah, let's continue to learn together. Let's grow together. And of course, let's be saints together. God bless you. If you're as excited for this podcast as I am, make sure you follow on whatever you're streaming it on right now. Also, subscribe on YouTube and follow on Instagram at Chisme del Cielo for any announcements and so that you can DM me questions you might have so I can research it and get it on the pod. If you're feeling crazy, drop a review or a rating for the podcast, and please keep praying for me. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.